The average price of a Chinese person buying a property in Australia is around 1.36 million US dollars. So it's significantly higher than the first home buyer. So I don't believe they're actually pricing first home buyers out of the market. Secondly, we've got a domestic Chinese consumer. Australia's got a lot of Chinese Australian residents, passport holders, and they're free to buy whatever they like. Their budgets typically be around 800,000 US dollars. First home buyers typically between the 300 and the 600. So I think the impact of a foreign investor is not having a great deal of impact on a first home buyer. Owning property in China has only been something which is relatively new, perhaps the last 15 years or so since the property market has actually opened up domestically. A lot of the mainland Chinese, they don't invest in stock markets. Their core safe assets have always been gold and property. There's been a lot of cooling measures which have been introduced in mainland China to try and cool down the local market, which meant that a lot of Chinese, as their wealth increases, they're looking for ability to invest in property markets, and those markets are wide open overseas. Australia is the second most popular country on our site. USA is number one. But interestingly, Australia's got 4 of the top 10 cities searched globally. And the major cities in Australia by popularity is Sydney number 1, Melbourne number 2, Brisbane number 3, and Gold Coast number 4. So Australia is very popular for proximity. It's relatively the same time zone. It's a short trip, 8 hours, as opposed to the US, which is 14, or Europe, which is 12, 13 as well. And what we actually found is the propensity for Chinese to purchase property overseas is closely followed by where they go on holidays. And so Australia is a very popular holiday destination. A high-end buyer, they're definitely looking for harbour views. They're looking for views of iconic architecture. They're looking for something which is close to the centre of action. For a student, they're looking for something very close to their educational institution, something which has got good security, something which is able to lock up and make sure their kids feel safe. For an investor, they're looking for yield. For an immigrant, they're looking to live in a Chinese community within Australia. So looking at the high concentration of Chinese. We predict that Chinese investment in Australia is probably going to increase about 15 to 20% over the next 12 months. Investment in Australia for foreign investors in total is around, I think, 6.5 billion US dollars. I think it's probably going to go up to the mid sevens. There's a report issued by NAB which actually showed that in some states the investment is actually petering off. It's actually decreasing in New South Wales but increasing in Brisbane and Victoria. Queensland's doing a brilliant job in terms of marketing Queensland globally, and I think also Victoria is doing a fantastic job in terms of marketing its universities globally. I think Sydney's not marketing itself well enough or to the fullest extent of what it's able to. Sydney's globally famous, but I think other markets are picking up their competitive nature and realising this is a great opportunity to reach investment opportunities, and they're bringing it in.